Devotees, welcome to Narasimha Chaturdashi pre-celebration program. As you all know, this whole week we have the opportunity of listening to Lord Narasimha's pastimes and Prahlad Maharaj prayers. This comes on Srimad Bhagavatam in Canto 7. So today we have two wonderful devotee families presenting. First, we have Prashanth Prabhu and Meena Mataji presenting. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna devotees. I would start with obeisances, paying our obeisances to all of you, and thank you, Meena Mataji, Satisar Prabhuji, Jaswada Mataji, Damana Prabhu for giving us this opportunity. We'll start with just quick prayers to Lord Narasimha. Namaste Narasimhaya Praladaladaye Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha Yato Yatoyam Tato Narasimha Vahir Narasimho Hridaye Narasimho Narasimha Sharanam Prapati Tavakaravayam Udutta Shingam Lita Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Keshavatita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Jai Jagadisha. And we'll start with say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you, all devotees. So we will start with first just the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj, which
Okay, first we will look on to Canto 7, Chapter 4, verse 31 and 32. The qualities of Maharaj Prahlad, the son of Hiranyakashipu, are described herewith. He was completely cultured as a qualified Brahmana, having very good character and being determined to understand the absolute truth. He had full control of his senses and mind. Like the super soul, he was kind to every living entity and was the best friend of everyone. To respectable persons, he acted exactly like a menial servant. To the poor, he was like a father. To his equals, he was attached like a sympathetic brother, and he considered his teachers, spiritual masters, and older god brothers to be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was completely free from unnatural pride that might have arisen from his good education, riches, beauty, aristocracy, and so on.
Understood.
Okay, our understanding from this verse is a perfect Vaishnava is also a perfect Brahmana. Prahlad Maharaj has all of these qualities of a Brahmana: peacefulness, self control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge, and religiousness. A Brahmana can tolerate the urges of the mind and senses and has complete control of both, is equal to everyone regardless of position, acts for everyone's welfare, and like the Lord is a well-wisher of everyone, is fully obedient to the spiritual master, cultivates knowledge in devotional service, preaches the glories of the Lord, and chants the holy name.
And next is importance of devotional service.
The human form of life affords one a chance to return home back to Godhead. Therefore, every living entity, especially in the human form of life, must engage in devotional service to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. This devotional service is natural because Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the most beloved, the master of the soul, and the well wisher of all other living beings. Understanding of this verse is we only have one chance to return back to Godhead, which is the human form of life. Devotional service is natural because we come from Vishnu, and Vishnu's natural position is to love and be a well wisher of all living entities. Every living entity has an intimate relationship with God. One should therefore glorify the Lord in the adoration of Santarasa, or revive his eternal relationship with Vishnu as his servant in Dasya Rasa, a friend in Sakya Rasa, a parent in Vatsalya Rasa, or a conjugal lover in Madhurya Rasa. All these relationships are on the platform of love. Vishnu is the center of love for everyone, and therefore the duty of everyone is to engage in the loving service of the Lord.
So next, what is devotional service? So we talked about the importance of devotional service. So what is devotional service? So in this verse, Hiranyakashipu is asking Prahlad Maharaj, my dear Prahlad, my dear son, O long-lived one, for so much time you have heard many things from your teachers. Now please repeat to me whatever you think is the best of that knowledge. And this verse is important to understand that we have many gurus in our life, but not all are bona fide. Prahlad Maharaj had two sets of gurus. He had Narada Muni, and he had who were appointed by his father. But the true guru, and Prahlad answers based on what he learned from his true guru, is who leads us to Krishna, leads us back to Godhead. Prahlad recognizes that this true knowledge is one learns from his spiritual master, and knowledge which will take us back to Godhead. So this verse, many devotees have spoken about, but it's he says, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasya Sakyam Atma Nivedanam, and that's the 9 methods that we should follow to become Krishna conscious. And what I wanted to talk about is the following verse, where he continues, and Hiranyakashipu continues the conversation, and he says, and when he's narrating this, he says, "You rascal, most fallen of our family, if you have not received this education from your teachers, where have you gotten it?" And Prahlad Maharaj answers, because of their uncontrolled desires, persons too addicted to materialistic life can make progress towards hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations towards Krishna are never aroused, either by instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. And in the next verse, he says, persons who are entrapped by Krishna consciousness to enjoy material life, and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects, cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As blind men guided by another blind man may miss the right path and fall into a ditch, materially attached men led another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. So the understanding from this conversation, right, is we have to control our senses and curb our desire to enjoy. Pursuit of sense gratification will not get us any spiritual progress at all. And the other thing is the aim of the majority of the world is to enjoy. So we primarily what we see all around us is material enjoyment, and if we're materially enjoyed, we can't be fixed in devotional service to the Lord. So it's not one or another, or mixed. It has to be one or another. It can't be mixed. So we have a choice in life, which is we either accept Krishna as our spiritual goal, or we accept material sense objects, and we have this choice, every moment. And because most jivas don't understand that the true goal of life, so they spend their time following blind men, and blind in the sense here, right, that they don't know of Krishna. But if we do that, if we follow all the blind people around us that don't know Krishna, we'll certainly fall into the ditch of birth and death, right? So continue our suffering. So the next verses here are from chapter 5. So this is again, this is another continuation of the same verse. Unless they spear upon their bodies the dust of lotus feet of Vaishnava, completely free from material contamination, persons very much inclined towards materialistic life cannot be attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, who is glorified for his uncommon activities. Only by becoming Krishna consciousness, taking shelter, can one be free from material contamination. So we have to engage ourselves fully in Krishna consciousness. That's our only way. And then unless we take shelter of the spiritual master, we don't have any chance of understanding Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada says very nicely, only one who is surrendered to a pure devotee, so we have to surrender to a pure devotee, can understand Krishna. And that's how we can get out of the clutches of Maya. So the power of devotees. So this is the verse where a lot of the stories that we hear from come from, and Meena is going to read what happens to Prahlad Maharaj and why it's so powerful.
Hiranyakashipu could not kill his son by throwing him beneath the feet of big elephants, throwing him among huge, fearful snakes, employing destructive spells, hurling him from the top of a hill, conjuring up illusory tricks, administering poison, starving him, exposing him to severe cold, winds, fire, and water, or throwing heavy stones to crush him. When Hiranyakashipu found that he could not in any way harm Prahlad, who was completely sinless, he was in great anxiety about what to do next.
So this verse is very powerful. It talks about, one, obviously all the troubles that Prahlad Maharaj went through, but on the other side, it shows how protected devotees are from everything in the material world. So if we have faith in Krishna, then we're protected from any harm. And it contrasts to Hiranyakashipu himself, right, who got all of these boons from Brahma, asking so that he could not be killed, outside or inside, day or night, and asking for all of these boons. But Hiranyakashipu performed many, many austerities to then, ask Lord Brahma for those benedictions. But all we really have to do is surrender unto Krishna, and we have greater protection than if we performed all those austerities and we were virtually immortal, like Hiranyakashipu. So there's one more verse here that I want to highlight, and it's in chapter 6, and in this verse, it really highlights a few things that we should be wary of, and we don't need in life, right? So, because just by surrendering our to the Lord, we have all the protection that we need, and what we shouldn't be going after. And this is, the power of devotees is we don't have any need to go after these things, and that's we don't have to go after religious, economic, or social development. And in this verse, it talks about how these are described as the Trivarga, or 3 ways to salvation. But if you're a devotee, then we don't have to ever need to engage in any of those things, because just by having faith in Krishna, we will be protected we'll be protected from everything, and we won't need the need for everything, because all of this is, all the Trivarga is all material. So we will stop there, and thank you, devotees, for this opportunity. And then Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Prashanth, Prabhu, Meena Mataji. That was a very beautiful presentation. You covered so many verses and understanding of those verses. And very nicely, both of you all covered the themes and verses related to the themes. The themes like qualities of Prahlad Maharaj, importance of devotional service, who's a pure devotee, and really explained that for us to really understand well. Very beautiful. Thank you so much, Prabhu and Mataji. Our next session is Abhay Prabhu and Rohini Mataji. They're Very wonderful devotees. We would love to hear from them. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Prahlad Uvacha. Brahmadaya Suragana Manayota Siddha Sattvaekatana Gatayo Vachasam Pravahe Naraditum Purgune Raduna Pipipro Kim Toshtumarhati Same Harir Ugrajake.
Prahlad Maharaj prayed, how is it possible for me who have been born in a families of Asura to offer suitable prayers to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Even until now, all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma and all the saintly persons could not satisfy the Lord by streams of excellent words. Although such persons are very qualified, being in the mode of goodness, then what is to be said of me? I am not at all qualified. Hare Krishna devotees, thank you Satyasaya Prabhu, Jai Subhadra Mataji, Meena Mataji for giving this opportunity to purify us. So first I will describe a little bit about Lord Nrsingadev's anger, then Prabhu will speak about this verse further. So after killing Hiranyakashipu, when Lord Nrsingadev was very angry, Lord's mouth and mane were sprinkled with drop of blood, and his fierce eyes, full of anger, were impossible to look. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Lord Nrsingadev, decorated with a garland of intestines taken from Hiranyakashipu's abdomen, the hairs on the head shook the clouds and scattered them here and there. His glaring eyes stole the effulgence of luminaries in the sky, and his breathing agitated the seas and oceans. Because of his roaring, all the elephants in the world began to cry in fear. Seeing this angry form of the Lord, even demigods were overwhelmed. Lord Brahma and Shiva couldn't dare to approach the Lord. Even the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, could not go near Lord. Lord Brahma told Prahlad Maharaj to go and pacify his anger. Srila Prabhupada says that Lord Brahma is most intelligent. He realized that Prahlad is not just a 5-year-old boy, but he is extremely powerful. Nothing could possibly kill him. Prahlad Maharaj was being confident of the affection of his master, Lord Nrsingadev. He was not afraid at all. And because of being personally touched by the Lord, he offered prayers to the Lord in full spiritual knowledge. Prahlad says, I simply take shelter of mercy of the Lord. And Prahlad fell at the feet of the Lord, who then affectionately placed his lotus hand on Prahlad's head.
So, in the true sense, this verse reflects the quality of humility of Prahlad Maharaj. See, in the backdrop of this verse, when Lord Nrsimhadev appeared, he put his lotus hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head. So first off, why did the Lord appear? To protect Prahlad Maharaj. And why protect Prahlad Maharaj? Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya cha sadhuna vinashaya cha dushtatam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So Paritranaya cha sadhuna. So what is the definition of a sadhu? Is Prahlad Maharaj a sadhu? A sadhu is a person who is 100% Krishna conscious. His all thoughts, words, and deeds and actions are for the satisfaction of Krishna. He has no other business. That is a sadhu. So we can see the symptoms in the Prahlad Maharaj's actions. He was teaching Krishna consciousness to the demon king, to the demon kids. He was put through many tortures and he kept thinking of the Lord. So Lord appeared personally and protected his beloved devotee. Now, of the two reasons for Lord's descent, Paritranaya cha sadhunam and vinashaya cha duskritam, which is the most important objective? The answer is Paritranaya cha sadhunam. As for the Lord, the vinashaya cha duskritam, or killing the demons, is just a piece of cake. So what do we see in the Narsingha prayer? Tava karakamala vare nakhama vita shringam dalita hiranyakashipu tanu bringam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare. So Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Brunga. O Keshava, O Hari, O Lord of the universe, you killed the demon Hiranyakashipu just like someone rips apart a wasp just by their fingers. Now, Hiranyakashipu, imagine Hiranyakashipu being a Bringa. He was the ultimate terrorist, almost immortal, a demon who could terrorize the demigods just by raising his eyebrows. and he was killed like a brunga. So killing miscreants is no issue for the Lord. His primary reason for descent is to protect the devotees. You know, the thing is that he came himself. He did not send forward his servants, his associates, or even his favorite weapon, Sudarshan Chakra. You know, why? Because there is a relationship, a loving relationship. You know, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatha mam prapadante tam sataiva bhajamyaham. So I will reciprocate one to the degree of one's surrender. So if one is 100% surrendered in love, Lord reciprocates 100% in love. It's like home equity. You own the home to the degree you have paid your mortgage. Similarly, your degree of surrender is your ownership of Krishna. If one is 100% surrender, Krishna is all yours. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of narrations of pastimes of devotees that are 100% sold out. Mother Yashoda, she can make Krishna run when she runs after him with a stick. Arjuna, the Lord of the universe, accepted to become his chariot driver. The gopis of the Vrindavana, they were ready to give the dust of their feet to cure Krishna's headache. Numerous examples. The point for us here to ponder is what is our equity in Krishna. We need to make constant endeavor towards that level of surrender. It is tough, but doable under an expert guidance. So Prahlad Maharaj is one such devotee. Let's think about Prahlad Maharaj's qualification. You know, number one, the Lord appears for him, and further, number two, he put his lotus hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.9.6 describes when Lord touched Prahlad Maharaj's head, he became completely free of all desires. He got transcendentally situated. He had all the ecstatic symptoms and his heart filled with love, etc. I mean, Prahlad Maharaj was already exalted, and having Lord's hand put on the head was like a cherry on the top of a cake. But did Prahlad Maharaj think, oh, I am a great personality now. Lord appeared for me, and look, he just put his lotus hand on my head, and he did not put it on anybody else's head. No. See, on the contrary, he was humble, and he said, I am not at all qualified. This is the quality of a devotee. In reality, he was more than qualified. In fact, he was more qualified than Brahma and Shiva, who could not even dare to stand in front of angry Narasimha. But Prahlad Maharaj said, I am an Asura, born in a family of Asuras. I am not qualified. All others are more qualified. And my dear devotees, this quality of humility makes Prahlad Maharaj a glorious devotee, and that is why he is special to the Lord and to everyone who is trying to serve the Lord in any capacity. This is how a pure Vaishnava thinks of himself. Even though he is exalted, he feels he is most unqualified. He bends down. See, when a mango tree has too many fruits, it bends down because there is no pride or ego. It wants to share the sweet mangoes with everyone for their benefit. Those trees that stand erect with no trees, with no fruits to offer. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed in the Shishtastakam, Trinadapi Sunichena, Taradopi Sahishnana, Amanena Maladena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. So we need to try to imbibe this mood of Prahlad Maharaj and serve the Lord. Then we will be successful in our endeavor of devotional service.
So in the beginning of the Canto 7, Chapter 1, so Parikshit Maharaj asked this question to Sukadeva Goswami, that Lord is always kind to the all living entities, irrespective of form and situation. And since Lord says he is Suridam Sarva Bhutana, the well-wisher of all living entities, how could he act partially by killing the demons and taking the side of Devatas? It seems very valid question, but the response is that Lord Krishna is absolute, whether he is in material world or spiritual world. He is Atma, Lord is Atmaram. He does not need anyone's help. Though Krishna accepts devotees' offering out of love, it's his reciprocation to devotees of their love and devotion. So he is not dependent on those offerings, but he does this out of mercy and out of love. So his punishments and his offering of favor are both the same values. And because conditioned souls are identified with material body, so they are subjected to dualities of nature. And because of the imperfect vision influenced by the material qualities, they tries to impose these material qualities on Krishna, thinking that Lord is being impartial. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. So this instruction is meant for every living entity within this universe. It has nothing to do with partiality, but Krishna is prepared to give bhakti yoga to everyone, but one must be capable of receiving in it. An example is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, where there is more wood, there is more fire, and where there is less wood, there is less fire. So this is not inequality. When the mode of goodness flourishes, the demigods flourish, and the demons flourish in the mode of passion. So when mode of passion goes down, demons do not flourish. So if we follow Hiranyakashipu's mentality, we will suffer. And on the contrary, if we follow in the footsteps of a pure devotee like Prahlad Maharaj and fully surrender, then we will be on the receiving end of mercy. So by external features, we cannot understand this, who is favored by Krishna. But according to one's attitude, Krishna becomes one direct advisor or becomes unknown. So Krishna is equal to everyone according to one's ability to receive the favor, and one will make advancement in Krishna consciousness. Thus, Krishna is unaffected by favorable or unfavorable. But if we serve him in proper attitude, we become a recipient of his mercy. So if we follow in Hiranyakashipu's mentality, we will suffer. And on the contrary, if we follow in the footsteps of pure devotee like Prahlad Maharaj and fully surrender, then we will be receiving the mercy. So Srimad Bhagavatam, the Vaishnavas are there. They are described as they are all nirmatsara. They are non-envious. They are. That's why they have the mood, and that's why Prahlad Maharaj could be engrossed in such bhakti. On the contrary, Hiranyakashipu, when he was very angry, when he could not, Prahlad did not agree on his terms, he became angry and envious, and he even ordered his associates to kill him. So envious persons, they do not accept the fact that Krishna has bestowed his favors upon a particular devotee in accordance with their advanced position. Instead, they become envious of them. So only when we are non-envious, we can be favorably absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. A devotee is always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna favorably, whereas the demons are absorbed, also deeply absorbed, but they are not favorable. So, but Lord is so merciful that he liberates the demons who are absorbed favorably as well as the devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees. Thank you. And please forgive us for any mistakes or offenses.
Thank you, Abhay Prabhu. Thank you, Rohini Mataji. That was very beautiful. You all picked up a very nice verse, and Mataji, you narrated how when Lord Narasimha came, how he appeared and what the situation was. It was very beautiful description. And Prabhu, you explained how Prahlad Maharaj had so much humility, even though he was so much more qualified, and how important humility is for us. And Mataji explained about how a devotee should surrender, and how if we follow Hiranyakashipu, then we will suffer, and if we follow Prahlad Maharaj, then we will get purified. So beautifully narrated the pastimes and the learnings. Thank you very much. That was a very good presentation. Thank you so much to both of you. With that, devotees, thank you all very much for joining the pre-celebration program today. It was our day 3 program. We will meet tomorrow at the same time, 7 o'clock to 7:30. See you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prashanth Prabhu, Mataji, Meena Mataji. Nice presentation as usual. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you for the opportunity, Prabhu. Thank you, Meena Mataji, as well, for the opportunity.
No problem. Abhay Prabhu and Mataji, it was very nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for the opportunity for the service.
Brilliant presentation.